So the heart is the person, it's the girl, the person you're talking to, right? The person is only experiencing this tip right here. They're only experiencing kind of what they see and what they're, what their your interaction. So she can't be in your head. She can't really know the depths of you, right? You only That's only something that you've got.
Hmm.
So what she's really experiencing here is just this tip of the iceberg, which is whoops, your strategies, your tactics,
Yeah.
your behaviors, right? That's what she's experiencing. And this is where a lot of people, this is what modern success teaches very well. Teaches here's the process, right? Here's what to do. Here's how to go because you have all the what to do, right? You have the course, you have the attraction ladder. Jared teaches how to do this step by step, very systematically. And I can tell you're a very logical, intelligent guy. Um, so it's usually when I see this, it's not a matter of not knowing what to do, right? Because that's all learnable skills. And this is what she's experiencing, right? But underneath this, you know how an iceberg works, right?
Yeah.
So an
So there's
iceberg,
a lot of it is under the water. Yeah.
exactly, most of it.
Mm.
And realistically, it's probably like, I can grab it. Yeah, realistically, it's like, they call it the tip of the iceberg, right? Just this little piece here.
Mm.
So that's all right. Not drawn to scale. I'm not a great artist, but I think this is good visually. All right, whatever. So they're experiencing tip of the iceberg. That's the strategies, the tactics, the behaviors. That's the what to do, right? And I can give somebody, I could give you like I was in at an event in Miami pretty recently, and I was out with a group of guys, and I went up and talked to some girls, and the girls were laughing and having fun, and they were clearly into it. And I came back to the group a little later, and one of the guys was like, "What did you say?" I'm like, "I don't. To be honest, I don't remember." But he's like, "No, no, but like they really thought it was fun. They liked you. Like, what did you say?" And that's when I realized that a lot of people think about this wrong because he wanted the script, right? He wanted the magic words, the Harry Potter spell that makes the girl laugh and fall in love and all that, right? He wanted the technique. But it's not about the technique, right? As Because you've probably experienced, you can go up and say the line, right? You've got the approaches, you've got the openers, like you've got all the what to do. You can go up and do that, but there's something else at play here, right?
Yeah.
Have
I,
you ever felt that like maybe I know what to do, but it's not working the way that I expected?
exactly. And I receive a prop from my friend yesterday. It's like, hey, you know what I noticed about you? That you make everybody laugh. The girls enjoy being around you. And that's a good quality, he said. And I was like, that's good, but I want to get I want to what? And then my friend is very successful when it comes to women. So it's tough for me to see how it compares. Like I'm doing a lot of comparison in my head, but I know where you're going with this, with the strategy and the iceberg. It's just tough. We and then there's a lot. You do facial expressions, you smile, you wink, you can't put it into words sometimes when you're making people laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you already have a lot of the skills. You have a lot of the foundation, right? Like I can tell just from talking to you, like you're a cool guy, you're open, you're friendly, like you have a lot of the traits already needed.
Thank
So
you.
here's what I see. Yeah, of course. It's just a observation. So um here's the other parts to this. Here's what's under the surface. So what's determining your strategies, your tactics, your behaviors? Um, is at the end of the day, it's going to be your emotional state, your thoughts, right? The stuff that's going on in your head, right? How are you feeling? Because have you ever had it where you feel really good and you're much more charming and charismatic, and then when you're feeling anxious, you're not as good?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, makes
So
sense.
that's this. And people can't see it, right? This is what they see. but this is what they feel. Right? Everything under the surface is what they feel because they're reflecting on what you feel. Right. So if your emotional state is in a really good place and you're thinking good thoughts, then you're going to be in a better position. You're going to be better. You're going to be more confident, more charismatic. It's going to go a lot better. And that'll be reflected in your behaviors, right? When you're in a good state, you'll behave differently than when you're in a negative state, right? When you're feeling confident and relaxed, you'll behave differently than when you're feeling stressed and anxious. Right? So the emotional state and the thoughts are what's creating the tactics and the behaviors. But there's something else even more important that's at the very bottom of this, that's underneath everything. It's the most important part in my experience, and it's also sometimes the hardest to see. So what I'll do is I'm going to just walk you through this, and then I'll give you an exercise to show you what it is, and then I'll help you break it down. Now,
Right.
underneath all of this, at the very core of this, is beliefs and self-image. So what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the world? How do you see yourself? Right? If kind of from what you've been telling me, you see yourself as, you can make the approach, but you don't see yourself as being successful with the women, right? You don't see yourself as being able to get the future with them. Right. So you can make the approach, but you also see from what you're telling me about the other friends you have, you also don't see yourself as taking as fast, you hesitate, right? You were saying like other guys
Oh,
just go for it much faster. So you don't see yourself as being able to take that action as quickly.
oh,
Right. And
wow.
so does that make sense?
Since I believe it, I don't really put into action the things that like I don't invite for the next day, or I don't do things that I believe because maybe from experiences, right? They have become beliefs that I was like, oh, you can't take this girl to the car for a little bit, or kind of like say, hey, let's go back to my house. But yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yes, dude, exactly. And you just said something so important. I'm glad you said this, is if you believe it, then it's true for you,
Oh, okay, okay.
right? If you believe it, because if you believe it, then it feels true and you'll think it, and then it'll show up in your behaviors. So if you believe you can't do it, then you'll be in a state of doubt. You'll think, I can't do it. I can't invite this girl because she won't go. And then you won't actually take the action. So we spend so much time trying to change this up here, but this is the big lever, right? And here's the crazy thing, right? Here's the scary part about these beliefs is most of them are invisible. They're running in the background. You didn't consent to them. You didn't put them there. You didn't choose them. You just got them through, like you said, life experiences, other people. And a lot of them were formed in childhood, which is terrifying in a lot of ways because it's kind of like you have a 5-year-old's belief system running your adult life. And think about how many beliefs do we pick up from growing up or from life that are actually not true or that we never even question. Right? How many of our beliefs do we just assume are true without ever even wondering, is this actually true or is this useful?
Yeah, that happens to religious people or people that believe some strong political stuff. It happens to them because they're taught that, and you have to kind of you spend your whole life trying to change something that it was so deep in your heart.
Exactly. And that's just for the people that recognize it. Think about how many people don't ever even question it. Or think about
Yeah,
how many people just believe it because somebody said it.
yeah,
Right. And those people didn't mean to cause harm, right? Those people didn't think they didn't have bad intentions. Right? I talked to a lot of guys who, their parents screwed them up or their religion or their teachers and other people gave them these beliefs. And it's nobody's fault, right? Nobody was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some bad belief. Like they just did the best they could with what they had. And they did what they thought they were doing the right thing. But this is how crazy this stuff is it gets in there and it's in your subconscious, right? It's in your, like, you don't think about your beliefs, you don't think about your self-image, right? But then you experience your state and your thoughts. But we think about this up here, right? We think a lot about what to do, but we never look below the surface. And most of this is out of conscious awareness, right? Most of this is, I can use like a computer metaphor. Is this is the this is the operating system, right? And how often do you think about your computer's operating system?
yeah. They could. The computer operating system is doing everything in the background, right?
Exactly. And it's just running. And we don't realize until we see an issue, right? And in this case, the issue is not getting the results or taking the actions you want. And what a lot of people do is they try to install, I think of strategies, this is apps, right? This is an app, the approach app, how to go make an approach, how to flirt, how to have conversation, how to invite the girl to a date, right? We're trying to install apps, and these are important apps, right? You do need to know this stuff, right? You can have all the self-belief and all the confidence in the world, but if you don't have the technical skills of how to have a conversation, then it's so you need both, right? But the problem is a lot of people are trying to install apps on a broken operating system that's not functioning right. And have you ever had your phone, like you try to open an app and it just crashes every time you try to launch it,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of what's happening with your brain. You're trying to launch an app and you're trying to install an app, but have you ever tried to install an app and like there's not enough space?
Yeah,
Right? Too much.
you get an alert or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so in this case, the alert is, anxiety, right? Or the alert is, feeling depressed, or the alert is feeling bad. That's the alert. But that's not who you are. That's just a signal. It's a signal that's saying something isn't working as you want it to. So again, these are both important, right? It's important to have the right tactics, the behaviors, the strategies. It's important to know what to do. But even more important is having these parts down here right. Because, if I give you the word for word script of how to go up and approach and flirt and talk to a girl, but in the back of your mind, you're like, this isn't going to work. She's not going to like me. There's no way she's going to go for this. It's going to come through. And you could say all the right words, but it's not going to have the result. And she can feel this. Because again, this is what they say, but this is what they feel. Right? And they're feeling this. And even if you have all the right, have you ever met somebody that they have all the right language? They know all the things to say, but something about them just feels off?
Yeah, yeah, many times. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's happening. You're experiencing the person's scripts, their lines, their behaviors, but you can feel you're like something about this feels off, right? And that's what they can feel. And women feel this 1,000 times more than us. They're very, very sensitive to this, because they had to be, right, for survival. If she let the wrong guy in our ancestral days, if she let the wrong guy talk her into bed, and the guy was full of shit, then her child wouldn't live, right? So they developed a radar for this, and
Mm.
they're very, very good at it, and they don't know they're doing it. But what'll happen is she'll be like, yeah, it was a fun conversation, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel the spark or something like she won't know why, right? But this is what's happening. This is what's actually happening under the hood. So this is why Jared brought me in. And I'm a former student. I still consider myself a student because I think there's always more to learn. But I went through the program in 2020,
Mm.
um, developed a lot of cool brain stuff and kind of techniques to rewire the beliefs and the emotional state. That's why Jared brought me back on as a coach, to help guys with this part because this part is so important. And I've seen so many guys fail because they focus all on this part up here, but they never change the internal operating system. And then they just don't get results. And then they get frustrated, right? They're like, I'm trying, I'm taking action, I'm doing all the right things, but it's still not working. And then they just get burned out, they get frustrated, they get pissed off, and they end up giving up, which is really sad. And it sucks because it is preventable. So in my experience, again, you need both. And again, this is what Jared teaches, the success or the attraction ladder. This is all here. You have access. You know what to do. You have the entire roadmap in front of you. What's holding you back is not knowing what to do. It's this. It's the internal beliefs and the way you're thinking about seeing yourself, which is reflecting in your emotional state and your thoughts, which is showing up in your behaviors. So, does this make sense?
Makes total sense. I've been doing a lot of psychology and my work pays for psychology. I actually have a meeting today with a psychologist, so that could definitely help also talk about those beliefs and things like that. Very, very licensed therapist situation, and I believe in this type of way of thinking about things. That's why I thought your class was so impressive. And meditation is also critical. That type of hypnosis is, I don't think people do that enough. Like people are too busy in the world, and I don't think people take the time of the day to kind of meditate or hypnotize, like dig deep, right? So I appreciate that. This is so good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. And it's good that you're doing some work with a psychologist and a therapist. And I think therapy is can be a useful tool, especially it's kind of like a mirror, A lot of times the therapist will help with insight, and you'll have this like, okay, now I see what's going on. And I spent a lot of time in therapy, kind of going in circles, talking about it, but not fixing it. And this is why I like hypnosis, because while therapy, we're kind of focused on the conscious, this stuff. With hypnosis, we can just go straight to the core and change these parts of it. So I want to give you some